This is 7 News.
Tonight, the fight to be Prime Minister. Kevin Rudd flies home for a showdown with Julia Gillard.
A murder investigation. A woman found dead in a Willetton home.
The Perth woman set on fire, a new clue and a family plea.
There is no good news. She's critically stable.
And Colin Barnett says sorry over the Margaret River bushfire.
From the studios of 7 Perth, Susannah Carr and Rick Ardon.
Good evening. Kevin Rudd is jetting home tonight into a leadership showdown with Julia Gillard. She's named the time and place, 10 a.m. Monday in Canberra. But he got the jump on the Prime Minister this morning, making his pitch for the top job before she even challenged him to battle it out.
The showdown is on. The Prime Minister versus the man who wants to be Prime Minister again. And it's personal.
Kevin Rudd, as Prime Minister, always had very difficult and very chaotic work patterns.
I do not believe that Prime Minister Gillard can lead the Australian Labor Party to success in the next election.
After weeks of infighting that erupted into public slunging in recent days, this morning Julia Gillard called a leadership spill for 10 a.m. Monday.
For far too long, we have seen squabbling within the Labor Party. Australians are rightly sick of this and they want it brought to an end.
As her ministerial supporters launched a shock and awe campaign trying to explode Mr Rudd's popular profile as a nice guy who was robbed of the Prime Ministership, painting him as scheming and treacherous.
Kevin has been running a relentless campaign to undermine the government.
There's no doubt that he sought to tear down the 2010 campaign.
He never sleeps. He's always manipulating something.
What this country needs is leadership. Strong, tough leadership, not a populist.
Mr Rudd said that was the sort of politics people despised.
Hooking into one another in highly vicious personalised attacks, I don't think is Australian.
As other ministers lined up for him.
The man has a great breadth of vision and a commitment to the future of this country.
I'm encouraging him to run. I think that would be the best thing for the Labor Party.
I will vote for Kevin Rudd as the Prime Minister of Australia.
Facing an uphill battle to win a majority of the 103 Labor caucus votes as the factions fall in behind Ms Gillard, Mr Rudd is appealing for people power to pressure the politicians.
Pick up the phone, talk to MPs, talk to your media outlets, express your view.
Enlisting wife Therese Rain to help spread the message.
I think it's useful for people to tell their local MP, look, this is what I want.
In a sometimes testy news conference...
I'll answer your question, but I'm not listening to this rudeness. I'm not going to have you just speak to me like this. End of sentence.
Julia Gillard said she wanted Monday's vote to be final, a virtual fight to the political death, promising if she lost, she'd retire to the backbench and drop any further claims to the leadership.
Kevin Rudd should give a comparable commitment.
As her supporters seized on claims by Clubs Australia, aired by 7 News last night, that Mr Rudd had promised through an intermediary last year to rip up the pokies reform deal with independent Andrew Wilkie and had encouraged the club's campaign against Labor members to damage Ms Gillard.
They were breathtaking. I've rarely seen a news story like that one last night.
I put those allegations to Kevin Rudd late yesterday. Within an hour, he'd issued a written denial, threatened to sue, and then called that shock news conference to resign as Foreign Minister. Key independent Tony Windsor doesn't think Mr Rudd will win and cut short a phone call from him last night.
I said to Kevin that I really didn't want to have a discussion about what was going on. That was for them to work out.
And as the combatants find a common pitch...
to save the country from the ravages of an Abbott government.
And defeat Tony Abbott. I believe I can lead Labor to that victory.
Tony Abbott's already campaigning, believing he's got a head start. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Canberra will be centre stage on Monday as the Labor leadership soap opera moves into the final act. The numbers are key to who will emerge Prime Minister. Jeff Parry explains how it all works.
Monday's vote is called a spill, not for any bloodshed, but because the leadership is spilled or declared open. The vote for the new leader will be taken by caucus, the Labor members of Parliament. There are 72 in the House of Reps, 31 in the Senate, a total of 103. So to win, a contender needs at least 52 votes. The Gillard camp is already claiming 65, while Mr Rudd might have 35. But between now and Monday, MPs will consider not only who's best to lead the party, but who stands the best chance of beating Tony Abbott at the next election. Stephen Smith is Defence Minister and West Australia's most senior MP in the Gillard cabinet.
I strongly support the Prime Minister, and in a ballot on Monday I'll be voting for her.
But while Julia Gillard may have the majority support of her party, Kevin Rudd beats her in the court of public opinion. In our Yahoo 7 web poll, of more than 16,000 votes, less than 20% were for Julia Gillard as Prime Minister. Kevin Rudd, more than 80%.
The real issue is who is best placed to lead Labor to a victory, and that's Kevin Rudd.
But when it comes to putting up some hard-earned cash, punters have backed Ms Gillard into $1.15 to win on Monday. Mr Rudd's paying $5. Rudd supporters unwavering.
I think he's a chance. I think it's going to be tough.
Current wisdom in Canberra suggests the ex-Foreign Minister can muster 35 votes, about 20 short of the main prize.
I know one thing's for sure, if the caucus do vote on Monday, they will overwhelmingly reject him.
The Gillard camp very confident of at least 65 votes.
Prime Minister Gillard will win any ballot that's held on Monday.
I'm expecting Julia Gillard will be Prime Minister through to the next election.
The opposition says it wants to bring down the curtain on Labor's soap opera by going to an election.
No one can take pleasure in what is the implosion of the Australian government.
If nothing else, this is new ground in political warfare.
We've written a new story in Australian political history. There is absolutely nothing like it.
And there's more to come. Jeff Parry, 7 News.
Detectives are investigating what's believed to be a murder in Willetton. Alison Hembra is there. Ali, what can you tell us?
Well, Rick, about 1 o'clock this afternoon, witnesses say police arrived at this house behind me in Old Nursery Lane with guns drawn. A short time later, a man emerged with his hands in the air.
From what we can see from this side of the road, it looked like he had a couple of blood smears up the left-hand side of his shirt.
That man is now in police custody. A woman's body has been found in the house. It's believed she's been attacked with a hammer. Neighbours have told me that a husband and wife and their 2 daughters live in the house, and I understand the family came to Australia from Sri Lanka 4 years ago. So, just repeating, the body of a woman has been found in a house in Willetton and a man is in custody. Sue?
Thanks, Ali. Police are looking for a woman in the case of Dana Vulan, the lady who was set on fire in her Rivervale apartment. Dana suffered burns to 60% of her body. Today, her sister pleaded for help to find the attacker. Grant Taylor reports.
We need someone to come forward. I know someone knows what happened out there.
Dana Vulan's sister speaking on her family's behalf today, a week since the bubbly 25-year-old was set on fire inside her Rivervale home. Each day for Dana is a life and death struggle.
It's an uphill battle she's constantly fighting. There is no relief, there is no good news. She's critically stable.
Police believe Dana was splashed with methylated spirits and then set alight. Today, a new clue. Detectives say they're looking for a woman, blonde-haired and mid-20s. She was spotted hanging around outside Dana's Rivervale apartment around the time of the attack.
This person will know who she is if she sees this media release. And again, we're calling for her to come forward.
Our family are living minute to minute. We can't sleep, we can't eat. If you know what happened, you have to come forward and let police finish this.
Dana Vulan suffered burns to 60% of her body, including her face. She's yet to regain consciousness. Grant Taylor, 7 News.
In breaking news tonight, police have moved in again on the protest camp at Harrison Island near the Causeway. Blake Johnson is in the 7 News helicopter. And Blake, what can you tell us?
Well, Rick, about an hour ago, a huge number of police and council rangers moved in again. We saw about 30 to 40 police and council rangers move in. They've started taking away the tents again. I've counted so far 2 tents and a couple of mattresses. We'll take a live shot out the side of the helicopter now. They've been surrounding the tents the police officers have while the council rangers move in. And only a couple of minutes ago, we saw a confrontation when one of the protesters scuffled with one of the rangers as he took or tried to take one of the tents down. We've also seen a number of mattresses removed and put in the back of a large ute. Police have given them an order to go, and we understand that if they don't, they'll be forced to. There are certainly enough police here to make that happen. Some cars left after the order with women and children in them. The camp was set up 11 days ago. A protest over a $1 billion native title deal, and they've been here 11 days now. Tonight could be their last. Sue?
Thanks, Blake. Colin Barnett has said sorry for the Margaret River bushfire that destroyed 32 homes. An independent report into the fire has called for an urgent review of prescribed burns. David Cooper is in Margaret River tonight. David, how have the locals reacted to the report?
Good evening, Sue. Well, there's anger tonight here in Margaret River. Locals wanted answers. Many of them say today they only got some. The report by the former Australian Federal Police Commissioner Mick Keelty found the Department of Conservation seriously underestimated the risks the day the blaze got out of control. It was a prescribed burn that got out of control. Today, an apology from the very top.
As Premier, I apologise to all of those people whose homes or property were lost or destroyed by the fire.
It's 3 months to the day since Linda Donovan's Narrabeen home was burnt. It's still being rebuilt.
The windows all blown out.
Linda accepts the government apology for the blaze, but says heads should roll.
For anyone looking for a smoking gun, you won't find it. For anyone looking for an individual to blame, you won't find it.
The fire inquiry's findings were released today. Mick Keelty, who did the report, says the Department of Environment and Conservation clearly underestimated the fire risk on the day. Mr Keelty found the disaster happened after a series of judgments by a range of people in the DEC. He's called for an urgent overhaul of the way prescribed burns are managed by the department, all burns to be signed off by the new Office of Bushfire Risk Management. And FESA, the Fire and Emergency Services Authority, will have more control in bushfire zones.
DEC made mistakes which resulted in the fire and accept that that was the case.
The government offered uninsured fire victims up to $190,000 per home.
We'll take some sort of action with maybe Slater and Gordon with the class action.
In about an hour, Mick Keelty will address a community meeting at the local recreation centre here in Margaret River. It's expected to be heated at times. That's because many locals we've spoken to this afternoon say the inquiry was flawed from the start, specifically, in their opinion, because the terms of reference didn't go far enough. They say it only looked at the events leading up to the day the blaze got out of control, not how it was handled afterwards. So tonight, here in Margaret River, many locals say they still have questions that have not been answered. Rick.
OK, thanks, David. A Perth teacher says she acted on instinct when she tackled a woman who walked into her classroom armed with a knife. Kate Hilder told 7 News how she and 2 other teachers sat on the woman until police arrived. Blake Johnson reports.
I just grabbed both her wrists so that she couldn't use the knife.
It was a split-second decision that possibly saved a young child's life.
Grabbed one leg, another teacher grabbed another leg, and the other lady held her hands, and we just dropped her down on the ground.
And she was thrashing?
All the time.
Kate Hilder's Year 1 class at St Stephen's School was interrupted yesterday when a woman walked in with a knife and grabbed a young student. In seconds, Kate had the woman pinned.
I was sitting on her here.
The knees on her?
Like that. Wow. Holding it.
The school went into lockdown. Police arrested the woman as young students watched through classroom windows.
They saw our library teacher with the knife outside.
The Early Learning Centre here at St Stephen's is already surrounded by this fence, which is about 7 feet tall. The principal says locking the school off completely would give it an unwanted prison atmosphere. Police say the woman has mental health issues and is not connected to the school. It was quite brave of you to do that.
No, it's just that instinct that you use.
Blake Johnson, 7 News.
And still to come in 7 News.
First pictures of Molly Meldrum since his devastating fall. Molly's still in rehab but was reunited today with his dog.
And Perth's Rev Head Heaven, where you can legally speed.
In 7's Money Watch, Australian shares have closed slightly lower. The ASX 200 was off nearly 7 points after a soft close on Wall Street. Financials and materials led the market lower, falling 0.5% and 0.4% respectively. Energy stocks rose after world oil prices jumped to a 9-month high, driven by concerns about Iran's suspected nuclear weapons activities. Oil Search, Woodside and Origin all made strong gains. In other news, about 330 jobs may be at risk at BHP Billiton's Tasmanian manganese alloy plant as it undertakes a 3-month review of the 50-year-old operation. Their share price finished 18 cents down. $1 Australian is buying $1.06 US cents.
A former government youth worker has broken down in tears at an inquiry into child abuse at a Katanning hostel. Margaret Dawkins said she repeatedly raised her concerns in 1985 to senior figures, including a local police officer, but was ignored. Mrs Dawkins asked authorities to investigate Dennis John McKenna after a former student told her he'd been sexually abused. McKenna is currently in a jail for sex offences committed at the hostel.
No one would believe you. They should have acted then and not now.
The inquiry is investigating whether there was a cover-up of abuse at the hostel.
Molly Meldrum has taken a major step forward as he recovers from his fall. 7 News has been given exclusive access to his Melbourne Rehabilitation Centre. These first pictures, taken just a few hours ago, show the 65-year-old looking well as he was reunited with his dog Ziggy. Molly says he can't wait to go home and thanks fans who've sent their best wishes.
Hoons on the road are a serious threat to lives, but there is a place in Perth that actually lets rev heads put the foot down and go flat out. It's controlled, safe, and as Alexis Donkin found out, just right to let rip without getting in trouble with the law.
If you've ever wanted to just gun it flat to the floor and not wipe yourself out, this is the place for you. Every Wednesday in summer at Kwinana Motorplex. They call it Whoop-Ass Wednesday. A quarter mile flat out. All you need is a car and $45. The idea? Get drag racing off the streets and on the track where it belongs.
It just keeps all the hoons off the street. We come down, run the best number, you have grudge matches with your best mate, and it's a good night.
Aussie-bred muscle cars dominate, but...
Drive a Mini if you like.
So Kwinana Motorplex has kindly loaned me this Chrysler SRT 300, so wish me luck, I'm going to give it a go.
A snapped axle, the only mishap this night, amongst so much supercharged adrenaline.
Oh, it's awesome. It's such a thrill, you know, especially when you take off.
The one thing about drag racing is, yeah, you can get to go fast without getting busted by the cops. If the cops are down here, you get to race them.
And that's fine with police. Alexis Donkin, 7 News.
Basil's here with sport. Now, Mark Harvey's not happy, Bas.
Well, he hasn't had a lot to say about Ross Lyon, Sue, but today all of that changed. Why Harvey says Ross Lyon acted inappropriately dealing with the Dockers. And wear white on Saturday night. We'll speak to Chris Coyne from The Glory.
Hello, it felt rather humid today. Tomorrow we're looking at a morning shower and we could pick up another shower on Sunday. Currently it's 23.8, humidity 66%. 29.1 was our top today. We got there around 10 to 1 this afternoon and it was a warm night, 22.6, our overnight low. Around the metro area, most suburbs had a cooler change today. 31 at Bullsbrook and Gingin, 27 at Mandurah. It was still hot out at Northam. Around WA, there have been some heavy falls of up to 88 millimetres in the Kimberley, Gascoyne and Pilbara. There have also been some isolated showers and storms this afternoon through central parts of the southern half. Tomorrow, a morning shower or two for Bunbury and Albany and a possible shower expected in Geraldton. Over to the satellite, and a trough lying from the north through central parts of the southwest land division is what's triggering the showers and storms. A cold front will bring a couple of showers to the southwest of the state tomorrow. Interstate tomorrow, hot in Melbourne, sunny in Sydney and rain for Brisbane. Boating information, south to southwest winds 15 to 20 knots, easing to southwesterly 10 to 15, inshore mid-morning 13 to 18 knots throughout in the afternoon. Swell to 3.5 metres and conditions aren't looking good for the Rottnest swim on Saturday. Southwesterly winds all day. So the forecast, expect a shower tomorrow morning, 28 at the top after a low of 19 degrees. Partly cloudy and 26 on Saturday. Saturday, a possible early shower on Sunday, and it's going to be fine next week. A hot 35 degrees on Wednesday. That's the last day of summer, and it is shaping up to be one of our hottest summers on record. We've had an average maximum of 32 degrees. And before I go, happy 60th wedding anniversaries to Ross and Joan Watson, Noma and Jack Jargo, and Lorna and John Crow. Here's Powerball.
That's 7 News for this cloudy Thursday. Thanks for your company.
Now here's Monica and Today Tonight.
Nobody knows.